Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Here.
Stothard?
Here.
Thompson?
Here.
Festerson?
Here.
Mr. President.
Here. Would you please all stand for our nation's Pledge of Allegiance or remain standing for our invocation?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask that we all remember in our thoughts and our prayers today all the people that have been affected by the flooding on the Missouri River. I would also ask that we remember and thank all the people who have volunteered with the sandbagging efforts. And I'd also extend a special thanks to all the employees of the City of Omaha for all the work that they've done and they will do in this effort with the flooding. Amen.
City Clerk certifies publication of the Daily Record, the official newspaper on July 8th. Notice for Creek Council and a regular City Council meeting July 12th, 2011. Current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers. Mr. President, before we begin, item number 38, which is the Livestock Commons building, if anybody's here for that, there will be a motion to lay that over and continue the public hearing for 2 weeks. If you can't come back in 2 weeks and wish to testify today, you can do that. Otherwise, the Livestock Commons people had requested a 2-week layover. There will be another document added to it for the public hearing. And do you want to say something about the cell phones, Mr.
Yes,
President?
if you have a cell phone, would you please put it on mute or silence to not interrupt the council meeting? Thank you.
Zoning ordinance is on final reading of planning board attachments. Item number 5, ordinance to approve a major amendment to a planned unit overlay district in an R6 low-density multifamily residential district for the property located at 5615th Northampton Boulevard. A planning board and planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing for agenda item number 5 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Douglas Dreesen, 10836 Old Mill Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant. Be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this case.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Stothard?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
It's passed 7-0. Item number 6, ordinance to approve a major amendment to a mixed-use development agreement for the Sorensen Parkway Plaza to allow an automotive repair services and relocate the proposed office located in order to minimize office requirements of the mixed-use development agreement located southwest of 72nd Street and Sorensen Parkway. A planning board and planning department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 6 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Doug Halverson from Olson Associates. I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion approved.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks. Yeah, just one question, Mr. Halverson, if you don't mind. I saw you have a picture there. Would you mind putting that up there for me to see? Sure. I obviously welcome the development here at Sorensen Park Plaza. We need, if anything, more of that in this area. I just want to make sure I knew if this was a pad site around the corner or what exact property are we talking about?
The two pieces of property that are highlighted, the one on the corner of 72nd Street and Sorensen Park Plaza is the auto repair business, and the other highlighted piece, it's kind of a triangle shape, is where the offices are now being relocated.
Okay. It looks like on the corner there we have quite a bit of landscaping and additional features that aren't there right now. That's a significant corner being Sorensen Parkway and 72nd Street.
Yeah, so Sorensen Parkway and 72nd Street is, and there's the reverse frontage road. So, there's about 60, 70 feet of landscaping and green space
okay.
to the back of the building.
And you access it through the normal entryways to the plaza right now?
Road, yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
If you could just stay there.
Okay.
How does your company get rid of the old stuff, the oil and the fluids? What's your policy?
I'm with the engineering company that put together the site plans. I'm not with Kimco, the developer.
Are they here?
They are not here.
I'd like for you to send a message back to them that this site at one time was controversial in terms of
Right.
the factory that was there and whether or not contaminants had seeped into the nearby creek. And so we just want to make sure that all the safeguards that were put in before Sorensen Park was platted, that this company will take extra care to live by those.
They are covenanted to do so, and also the, as far as I know, I worked on this really very, very early on in the zoning, and all the contamination was up in, the upper area by where the shops and the Targets are. This is, way down at the end of the parking lot. So
Where the covenants are in.
these people, everybody in this subdivision pays for the management and the, monitoring of the entire project.
Please allow them to understand that there's at least one, if not more, councilmen that highly concerned about this
Okay.
area. The neighbors to the west of you were really, really concerned about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
No further lights. Roll call?
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's passed 7-0. We'll take
Thank you
items
very much.
7 and 8 together. 7 is ordinance to rezone property located at 2512 South 105th Avenue and 10620 Gold Plaza from DR to DR Development Reserve District. 8 is to rezone to R4 Single Family Residential District High Density. 8, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items 7 and 8 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Good afternoon. My name's Tim Worth. I'm the owner of the property. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
No further lights. No lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Stothard? Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
They're both passed 7-0. Resolutions, rate preliminary plats and plats. Item 9, resolution preliminary plat entitled Cypress Point, located southwest of 60th Street and Hartman Avenue along attached conditions. Hereby accepting the preparation of final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 9 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Dan Rosenthal of the Riga Engineering Group here in Lincoln. Here to answer any questions.
All right, sir. Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights. We need a motion. No further lights. We have a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Thompson's out of the chambers. Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's passed, or adopted 6-0. Item number 10, resolution preliminary plat entitled Northern Hills Air Park, located northeast of 72nd Street and Bennington Road along attached conditions. Hereby accepted. Preparation of final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 10 begins now. Are there any proponents?
President, members of the council, my name is Mark Westergaard, E&A Consulting Group, 330 North 117th Street. This is a straight subdivision of ground to create some 9 tracts of ground along 72nd Street next to the North Omaha Airport, simply for the provision so that separate parcels where existing buildings are at could be sold. It's currently one large parcel. There's no change of zoning, it's just a straight subdivision. We've worked with the planning board. There's 8 conditions, and we have agreed to a resolution of all those items, so we would request your approval.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Yeah, Mr. Westergaard, just one question. So just out of curiosity, are they looking to sell and develop these properties then, or?
This is not a redevelopment project. It is simply putting the parcels. They're all owned by one owner now. This would allow those parcels to be sold if that was the desire. For instance, the City of Omaha's heliport facility is there. So it just splits them into parcels that are consistent with the existing buildings along 72nd Street.
Okay, thank you. I'll move to approve.
No further lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 11, resolution appropriate patent entitled Latham's, located northeast of 168th and State Street, on attached conditions, hereby accepted and preparation of final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 11 begins now. Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda items number 12 through 13 shall be laid over for 2 weeks for publication and public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda items number 14 shall be laid over for 2 weeks. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda item number 15 shall be laid over 2 weeks for publication and public hearing. Liquor, item number 16. Ramada Tropics Resort and Conference Center, 3321 South 72nd Street. A Class C liquor license, new application, O location.
Public hearing on agenda item number 16 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Good afternoon. Tim Darby, Ramada Plaza, 3321 South 72nd Street.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve.
Ms. Stothard?
Thank you. Mr. Darby?
Yes.
You have to restate your name.
Pardon?
Restate your
Oh,
name.
I'm sorry. Tim Darby.
I know we've talked about this before, but you do have a history here with the law that concerns me. Have you ever taken a certified alcohol server training program?
Absolutely, I have.
You have taken that?
Yes, I have.
Okay, since the DUI in 2009?
I sure have, yes.
Okay, any incidences since then?
No, none.
All right, thank you. That's all then.
Absolutely, thank you.
No further lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President.
Yes.
Approved 7-0. Item number 17, El Macano Restaurant, 4630 South 20th Street, Class I liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on agenda item number 17 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Good afternoon. My name is Gerardo Torres, and I'm the owner of the Maricon Restaurant. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Second.
No lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 18, Longhorn Steakhouse, number 5401, 3040 South 143rd Plaza, Class I liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on agenda item number 18 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Dagree, representing the Longhorn Steakhouse. Here to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 19, Homestead Cafe, 4826 Q Street, catering liquor license, no application, no location. The president holds a Class I liquor license.
Hello, my name is
I'm sorry. Public hearing on agenda item number 19 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Alma Mora, owner of Homestead Cafe Algo Mas, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents?
Motion to approve. Second.
No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
adopted 7-0. Item number 20, the Henry Dorley Zoo, 3701 South 10th Street. Catering liquor license, no application, no location. The president hold a Class I liquor license.
Troy Meyerson, 409 South 17th.
Just a moment, sir. The public hearing on agenda item number 20 begins now. Are there any proponents?
I apologize.
That's all
Troy
right.
Meyerson, 409 South 17th Street, on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents?
Motion to approve.
Public hearing is closed. No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
adopted 7-0. Item number 21, Woolner's Midtown Grocery and Deli, 3253 Dodge Street, Suite 1101. A catering liquor license, no application, no location. The president hold a Class C liquor license.
Public hearing on agenda item number 21 is now. Are there any proponents?
My name's Mike Schwartz. I'm the owner of Owners. I'm asking for you to approve it.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
it's adopted 7-0. Item number 22, Carlisle Hotel, 10909 M Street. Request permission for addition of a beer garden to the east.
Public hearing on agenda item number 22 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Jacob Norman, management of the Carlisle Hotel, 10909 M Street. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents?
Troy Range, Security Director of the Carlisle Hotel. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
approved 7-0. Item number 23, Dave and Buster's at 2502 South 133rd Street, or 133rd Plaza. Request permission to appoint Ethan Pedrasky, manager.
Public hearing on agenda item number 23 begins now. Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
it's approved 7-0. Item number 24, Target Stores at 17810 West Center Road. Request permission to appoint Vicki Mead Travis, manager. The Target store at 6636 North 73rd Street. Request permission to appoint Jeff Pitzel, manager. And the Target store at 12500 K Street. Request permission to appoint David Duff, manager.
Public hearing on agenda item number 24 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Kevin Oswald, store team leader, 178th and West Center, Target location.
Vicki Mead Travis, 178th and West Center, Target.
Jeff Pitzel, Swanson's Parkway, Target. Just
Thank
here
you.
For any questions? Yep.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed. No lights, roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President,
Yes.
approved 7-0. Item number 25, Native Omaha Club, 3819 North 24th Street. Request permission for a special designated license for beer garden during Native Omaha Days on July 28th and 29th from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. with music until 1 a.m. You have communications from the police chief.
Public hearing on agenda item number 25 begins now. Are there any proponents? Would you please state your name and address?
Gene Tucker, 628 Reed Street, holder of the Native Omaha Club liquor license.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Mr. Gray?
Thank you, Mr. President. Gene, let me assure you that there are probably not enough votes to run music until 1 o'clock. Would you be okay with the music ending at midnight?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to approve, subject to the
Let's just
motion to amend
to 12.
to 12 midnight. On the music.
Okay, no further lights. The public hearing is closed. Roll call.
Gurnett. Yes. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Yes. Stothard. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Festerson. Yes. Mr. President.
Yes.
As amended.
Roll call.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Stothard. Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
It's approved as amended 7-0. Item number 26, El Alamo, 4917 South 24th Street. Request permission for a special designated license for a beer garden during Native Omaha Days at 2303 North 24th Street on July 29th from
Hello,
5 p.m.
my name
till-
is Sandra.
until 12 midnight, July 30th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight. Music will end at 11. Communications from the chief. We have no communications requesting the change of location to 2415 Lizzie Robinson Avenue.
Public hearing on agenda item number 26 begins now. Are there any proponents?
My name is Donna Vaughn, and this is
And
now.
my name is Soledad Godinez, to El Alamo Restaurant, to South 24th Street.
She's the
Okay.
president of El
President.
Alamo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents?
Thank you.
Public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve.
Hold on. You got a couple of folks.
We got some.
Opponents here, I think.
My name is Louis Wright. I'm with the Vice President of the Native Omaha Club, 3819 North 24th Street. And we do have some reservations about this pending one, despite the fact that we're asking for a beer garden.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Are there any other opponents?
Good afternoon, Kerry Newman, Northeast Precinct Police Captain. The Omaha Police Department has been planning a police response and manpowering the events for the Native Omaha activities that are occurring on July 28th through 31st along North 24th Street. We've had a lot of communication and cooperation with the Native Omaha Club, Mr. Wright, and his representatives to plan this event. This takes a lot of resources from the Omaha Police Department, the Northeast Precinct, and we are opposed, the police department is opposed to any additional beer gardens outside of what the Native Omaha Club is having. So I'd just let you know that we're opposed to the beer garden at 24th and Grant that is being presented right now. It puts a great deal of stress on our manpower, and it's a large public safety concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Any other opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gray?
Rebuttal, if there's any rebuttal.
Yes.
Done.
Please state your name and
Donna
address.
Vaughn. We had told Captain Carey, and as well as the council, we will have private security. For Horseman Security, they are comprised of police officers that are working off duty, and we'll also have non-officer security as well. The beer garden is only open to those 25 and older, and in addition to that, we will have food vendors out there and miscellaneous vendors out there. So we are doing our best to make sure that it's safe and that we have the manpower there to make sure that it's an enjoyable and safe event for everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, first, if I could have from someone from Native Omaha Club, because you had some concerns about this, if you could be a little bit more specific about what those are. I mean, I know what the police department's concerns are.
Again, Louis Wright, Vice President of the Native Omaha Club. Some of our reservations is that we, as a community, we've tried to work with the Northeast Precinct on security, public safety, and we're also coordinating our event with, say, another end of the North 24th Street corridor called the Stroll Down Memory Lane Committee. And some of these events, they will overlap in time, and we're just trying to make sure that all of our events are supported by one another and endorsed by one another to make sure that it's well communicated that this is a community event that is supported by this organization as well as in collaboration with other organizations that are putting on events.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Gray.
Go ahead. I'll come back.
Okay. Mr. Grenant?
Thank you. My question, I put on my light to ask that security question, and it was answered, at least to my satisfaction. But I am truly aware of the Northeast Precinct's concerns as far as staffing and resources. Captain, could you come back up, sir?
Kerry Newman.
Captain, could you just quickly encapsulate the conversation that you had with Native Americans Committee and the thoughts about having entertainment at one end and entertainment beer garden at the other end? Could you just kind of, I've got a kind of a little bit of a gray area that I'm just trying to clear up before I vote.
Well, like I said before, we started planning and having meetings with the Native Omaha Club and working out the details for the events they're having from Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. They have during the day on Saturday they have a parade that will require my resources from 8 a.m. till about 1 p.m. and then into Sunday. In addition to that, the park right there on 24th and Lizzie Robinson will also have people reserving that, which is right up next to this location for this beer garden. While we were planning the Native Omaha Days events with the Native Omaha Club, they brought to our attention that Donovan was making some other plans in and around the area of 24th and Lake, which really brought some concerns to us because we have to divide our resources and cover the area for the Native Omaha Club, which is up around 24th and Laird. There's a large contingency of people that will be in that area for several blocks north and south of Laird, not only for the Native Omaha Club beer garden, but just the vendors that are in that area, and also the people that come out onto the street and celebrate the festivities. Add to that an alternate location for people to gather at a beer garden forces me to take resources from North 24th Street up around Laird and redeploy them down to the 24th and Lake area. Now, back in 2009, I was a lieutenant on the police department. I worked the Native Omaha Days event, and we actually had to reallocate resources, police personnel, up to the area of 24th and Pratt and Laird, around that area, to ensure the safety of everyone around there and make sure things were flowing smoothly. So it just complicates the matter to have a secondary beer garden area and for people to draw to a bigger to gather, in a larger area.
As you had mentioned, you were having personal experience with this last year as when you were a lieutenant. Can you estimate the time period, what size the crowd might be? Did that come up during your critique after last year's event?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just so we're clear on this, it's a biannual celebration. So the last one occurred in 2009. There's, I would easily say, over 5,000-6,000 people that come out on 24th Street for the event. If anyone's got any objections or more or less than that, but I'm fairly certain it's a very large group of people come out for the event. And like I said, each night of the event, I'll have a contingency of officers on staff from 7 p.m. Scheduled up until 3 a.m. To add to that, officers I'm going to have scheduled from 8 a.m. on Saturday till 1 p.m. And I believe Ms. Vaughn, her beer garden is scheduled to be open at 11 a.m. on Saturday, which would coincide right after the parade's over and up until midnight, I believe, which causes me a big concern about being able to have a police staff that's going to be able almost be on a 24-hour rotation on a heightened level of staffing. We're working hard to get the number of officers we want to have this event go off as safely as possible, and we're having troubles even getting those slots filled by officers.
Thank you.
So,
thank you, Captain.
all right.
Just for the record, I'd like to correct a statement that I made as Native Omaha Days, not Native American. I apologize for that. I appreciate all of the responses, and I was going to call up Donna, but she answered my question before, so I'll yield my time. Thanks, Mr. President.
Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. Just to follow up from Captain Newman, if you don't mind. So, as I understand your testimony, it's a question of resources and how many beer gardens there are for various locations. So it's not necessarily the applicant on this particular case, because we have actually another application too later on the agenda, number 71. Would you be opposed to both of those for the same reason then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gray?
Yes, thank you. Captain, in the spirit of, well, first of all, let me say I'm a little uncomfortable with approving this one right now, simply because it's the first time it's been done. If you're not familiar with Native Omaha Days and so forth and how that works, it can cause some significant issues, and I am aware of those. But in the spirit of attempting to compromise, would you have a problem if we started the event? The event starts at 5 o'clock. If the event were over at 10.
I still wouldn't be comfortable with having the beer garden at that location or any other beer garden.
Okay.
For that matter. And we're also working with, just to add to that, we're also working closely with the city planning engineer, Mike Gahn, to ensure that there's no block parties in the immediate area, or for that matter in the Northeast Precinct during this time. We're really keeping an eye on all the activities that are going on to make sure that we can that we're adequately staffed during this time period. So I would again oppose that.
Okay. I just wanted to check and see if you were comfortable with any time at all, or if the time frame, no time frame will work with you right now until there's an effort for more continuity, people working together and so forth, so that we have the event scheduled in a secure location that's not kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and some other reservations I have when we have had a couple of meetings with Ms. Vaughn, and after meetings were concluded, plans were changed, locations were changed.
That's the other problem I have
right,
too.
There wasn't a lot of definitive answers on how many security officers she would have, how many off-duty officers she would have, who they are, things of that nature.
Okay. Well, I wanted to give you a chance to. I just wanted to give you a chance to. You can come down. But keep in mind, because of having been there on a number of occasions and knowing how it works, I do have a problem with how this came about. I would have preferred that you had worked with the Native Omaha Club and others, so that there's a more concerted effort in a much more confined location so that it could be monitored by police officers, especially given the fact that we've done fairly well up to now in terms of issues of violence and so forth, and this is an effort to continue to keep that down. And so I would be, those are the concerns that I have, and I just wanted to hear your response.
Well, we did try to work with the Native Omaha Club. I met with them on 3 separate occasions, twice with members of their board of directors and once with their whole membership, and they did not want to work together. I've been trying to work with the city and with the captain for the last 3 months, and yes, we've had 3 different proposals, because every time we send a proposal, they come back and say, well, the first proposal we wanted to block off 24th and Lake, and they said, no, you can't do that. So we sent a second proposal. So each proposal, it's sent based on what they told us we could or could not do. And the third proposal was asking to block off certain streets, but we said, even if you don't want us to block off any streets, tell us what we can do. We are a group of entrepreneurs who want to provide activities for the community and at the same time make some money. And for some reason, that seems to be a bad thing. They told us we were not allowed to use any city streets, any city sidewalks, any city parks, not only this year, but any other year. And so if we wanted to do anything, we had to do it all on private property. So the third proposal, when we found out we couldn't get any streets at all, it all went to private property. All the merchants and the people who own property in the 24th and Lake area from Ohio to Burdett have donated their private property so that we could have vendors down there. There's a lot of historical significance in that area, and it's being ignored. And the merchants want activities down there, and the people want activities down there. And the funny thing is, even if we don't have anything, there still are going to be thousands of people down there, as it is in every Omaha days. And the police are going to be down there anyway. So when they said we couldn't use any parks, we said, okay, in order to make it easier for them, we'll go where the police are already going to be. After the parade, there is nothing for families to do for the rest of the day. That night, the Omaha Club has a beer garden, but during the day, there's nothing for kids to do, and that's what we're trying to do. We have vendors that are just waiting for us to say, you know, we'll be there. We've got colleges that want to be there. We have work-at-home businesses that want to be there. We have activities for our kids that want to be there. We're trying to do something good for the community, and I swear we tried to work with the Native Omaha Club. I am going to continue to try to work with the Native Omaha Club, and we just want a chance to do something and make a little money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jerem?
Yes, first I wanted to let the owner of El Alamo know that I enjoy your restaurant and the food is excellent, and I've obviously had more than my fair of chips and salsa, but my vote doesn't have any reflection on your business operation. I think you run a nice operation, and I've been there many times. But what I see here is a desperate plea by the captain of the precinct, who knows what limited resources he has, given the history of how prior years have gone from his firsthand experience, begging us basically to defer to him on this one, that this is what's best for the community this year. And so while your presentation is professional, and I'm sure it would be a good time, I'm just very concerned and hesitant at this point to so to speak, overrule the captain on this one. I understand the emotions run high, and your intentions are sincere, but for this year, for this event, I just wanted to explain to you that why I was going to vote the way I am.
Mr. Gray.
Mr. President, just very quickly, I too have those same concerns, and when we talked, I expressed those concerns about the police department, police manpower, and those sorts of things. It has no reflection on you, has no reflection on the relationship either you do or don't have with the Native Omaha Club. It's just that our police officers right now are stretched really, really thin. There's going to be significant amounts of overtime, I'm sure, even though this council probably doesn't want to hear that. But I think for those reasons too, I have a little bit of a concern about it. And if we could coordinate a little bit better, I think this council would be more willing to at least look at it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And Mr. Clerk, we've got a motion but not a second. Is that correct?
We have a motion by Gurnett to approve. No second.
No second.
We have a motion by Gurnett to approve.
Do we need a substitute or?
Well, there's no second, so it dies for lack of a second.
Motion to deny.
No further lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
If there wasn't a connection here between off-duty and on-duty, I think I would be supporting a denial. But we have on the record a connection of communication between on-duty and off-duty, and I think it's been proven on both sides. So the motion to deny, I'd say no.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Stothard?
Yes.
Thompson?
No.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's not adopted on a 5-2 vote. Now we'll take up item number 71, which is the other SDL. Spalding Bar, 3825 North 30th Street, request permission for a special designated licensed beer garden during Native Omaha Days on July 29th through the 30th, 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. with music ending at midnight.
Public hearing on agenda item number 71 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Yes, my name is LeVar Goodwin. I'm representing the Spalding Lounge on 3825 North 30th Street.
Hi, I'm Richard Kelly, owner of the detail shop for the alternative place for the Native Omaha weekend. 3809 North 30th Street.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents?
Kerry Newman, Northeast Precinct Captain. Again, I don't know how much you want me to go into details of basically what we just talked about for all intents and purposes due to the large event going on 24th Street with the Native Omaha Club and their subsequent beer garden application. The Omaha Police Department opposes any other beer gardens in and around that area. And just for the record, I've not had any communication or been contacted by the Spalding Bar to discuss any planning for this event. So, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, if one of the representatives of the Spalding Bar, please. Have you done this before? Have you had an event like this before?
Haven't.
Your name, please.
LeVar Goodwin.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've not done an effort with that was inclusive of Native Omaha Days before? This is your first effort at it?
First time.
Okay, and you had no cooperation with, you had no discussion with police about, how to work this?
They had no discussion with me either.
Okay. Do you have any security? What is your security situation like?
2-man security team. They're going to be fenced in. We have somebody at the door going to be carding, have a wand, have a band on the, mark the people that come in and out. And I'll be from 25 and up.
Thank you. Let me have the captain come up again, please. Captain, give me a little bit of background about the Spalding, because I'm not aware of any issues that they have had.
Yes, and one other thing that goes along with the background, though, in reviewing the past, the after action from the last year's Native Omaha Day event from Captain Carmody and his staff, one of the after action notes on there was that there was a large group of people who did attend the Spalding Bar in 2009, even though they did not have a beer garden at that time. It was still something in the notes for this year's event to make sure we paid attention to that. So adding to just their own building and what they were able to accomplish in 2009 to add a beer garden to it will compound the issues that could take place over there. But as far as the Spalding Bar goes, outside of that, we haven't had hardly any issues that I'm aware of at the Spalding Bar. I think the people who have come to their establishment in the past month or so has picked up a little bit. It's kind of got our attention, but other than that, they've been a good establishment in the Northeast Precinct, from my perspective.
And and you see that's the dilemma that I'm having right now, because they haven't, the Spalding Bar hasn't been, they haven't been on our radar. They haven't had any issues. They haven't had any problems there. I'm a little less willing to deny them than I was the first group, because I think that theirs was just all over the place. But the Spalding Bar, I think might. Let me think about that one for a little bit. I know my name will probably come up on the vote fairly quickly, but part of my problem is that they have not had any significant incidents there. And so I'm more inclined to give them a chance more than anything else, because they've been an establishment in the community for a very long period of time. So, I mean, that's my rationale behind it. That doesn't necessarily mean I'll vote that way, but that's kind of my rationale behind it right now. And with them having a long history and a fairly good history in North Omaha, I would be more willing to give them a chance than I was the first group. But thank you. I'll give it some thought. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. If that young gentleman can come back up. LeVar, is that your name? LeVar. Thank you. One of the reasons why I gave the other establishment, Donna Vaughn, my vote, it didn't go well for her, but she got my vote because she talked about trying to make it more family-oriented, bringing in businesses, some recruiting for schools and things like that. Is that a part of what you're going to do, or is it just kind of throw on the CDs and boogie down?
Well, I just want to bring something back to the native Omahans. Now, then we'll come back, have a good time.
Okay.
Play some nice music, have a bar, chit-chat with your friends. You ain't seen in a long time.
Okay.
Nothing more, nothing less.
In the future, would you consider making it more family-friendly?
Oh, yeah, sure will.
Okay, because I think that's the spirit of Native Omaha Week, to have it be more than just a party, but have it to be kind of a reunion of family members. Yeah. Would you agree?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, you mentioned 2 security guards?
Yes.
You can get my vote if you doubled that and made it 4.
Okay, I can get that.
Did you have something you want to say, sir?
Yeah,
Go ahead and identify yourself.
I'm Richard Kelly. I'm the owner of the detail shop next to the Spalding Bar. And Mr. Goodwin and Tony Goodwin, they're the owners of the bar. And they came to me and asked me, how did I feel about having a beer garden for the Spalding Bar, because they had to use some of my parking. And he explained, he said that a lot of Native Omaha are reluctant about going to the North 24th Street area. Spalding Bar had been there for years, and it's normally an older crowd. And, he said he didn't want to go down there. And we do have the Juneteenth parade that comes down North 30th now, and they use my establishment. And, I said I'll be supportive also. I mean, because, now don't get me wrong, I see the captain's concerns. and they support me 100% on North 30th. But my thing was security.
Are you going to go on record as saying that you would have 4 instead of 2?
Yes, that was my main concern.
You have the budget for it, and you're committed to it.
Exactly.
Okay. So, all right. Music. What time are you going to stop the music?
Midnight.
Okay. All right. Like Councilman Gray, I'm always open for giving a person a chance, especially if the record is pretty decent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Stothard.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this issue, and then on number 26 also, the last one, I guess I really failed to see the connection between making something more family-oriented and needing a beer garden. I mean, I think if you want to make it more family-oriented, you could certainly do it without a beer garden. You could do that anyway. So I really don't see that connection. For LeVar, could you come back up, please? Yes. State your name again.
LeVar Goodwin.
And when you were asked about not contacting the police about your event, you made the comment, well, they didn't contact me either. Do you really feel like if you're going to have an event, it's up to the police to contact you?
No, but they can make for the effort.
But don't you feel like you should have made the effort?
I mean, if I feel like it might get out of hand.
Well, anytime you have no idea how many people to expect.
Yeah,
but it seems like it would, as a good business owner, you would think about contacting the police to see if you would have the coverage during that event.
Well, I have my own security team, and then I will.
Okay, I guess my recommendation is in the future, and you want to have an event, I would take it upon yourself. I would expect you to contact the police.
Okay, that was my first time.
All right. Thank you for that. And I'm just going to make a statement with this one as well as the one before. I certainly am aware of the extra manpower that you can be seated that the police need, and I know they're already stressed and strained with what they're doing, and I certainly respect what Captain Newman says about their hesitation and their opposition. So I'm, as well as number 26, I'm going to vote no on this one also.
Mr. Gray.
Yeah, LeVar, if I could have you come up one more time, please. Getting your exercise today, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just, if you can, a couple of things. One, if you can increase your security to 4, yes. And 2, if you can close down the beer garden at 1 o'clock instead of 2.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, with those stipulations, if you can increase the number to 4 security personnel, and if you can end your beer garden at 1 o'clock, rather than wait till 2, I would be supportive of that.
Okay.
I make a motion to, I'm going to take a shot on you, only because the establishment has been there a long time, had next to no problems at the Spalding Club. You all run a really good operation. I hope you will continue to do the same thing. This year is a test, as you know, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But with that stipulation of 4 security personnel instead of 2, and I would encourage you to make one of your officers an off-duty Omaha police officer if you could. Okay, but with that stipulation and the stipulation of closing down the beer garden at 1 o'clock, I would make a motion to approve.
How about motion to amend to 1 a.m.?
Motion to amend to closing the beer garden at 1 a.m.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. One more time, LeVar. Have you ever heard of an event called Stone Soul Picnic?
I heard of it.
It's probably a little bit before you were born, maybe?
Yeah, I think my dad probably knows.
Your dad knows about it?
See, that's why you can't say it.
Well, just for the record, at the Stone Soul Picnic, which was many, many years, we brought families together, and the black culture was able to have alcohol and children and home type things all together. So we have a long history of being able to do that, and sometimes I think you have to know the culture from the inside to be able to understand it. So that's just for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain Newman, could you return, please? Please state your
Kerry
name.
Newman.
Captain, these locations are going to be right next door to one another, correct? 3819 North, no, wait a minute, 3819 North 24th Street. Oh, wait, one's on 24th, one's on 30th.
Yes.
30th. Okay. Disregard my question. I just answered it. Thank you. No further lights, roll call.
This is on the amendment. Gurnett?
Yes.
Oh, second.
Second.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
No.
Stothard?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
As amended.
Second.
Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
No.
Stothard?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
It's approved as amended 5-2. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed Items removed from consent agenda shall be taken up by City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by City Council rules of order.
Second.
Public hearings on agenda items number 27 and 28 were held on June 28th, 2011. Are there any proponents?
No.
Excuse me. Okay, we're all done with that.
We have a motion and a second.
No further lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President?
Yes.
They're both passed 7-0. That's yours, sir.
The public hearings on agenda items number 29 and 36 through 36 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item, number you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or opponent. Public hearing is closed.
Ordinance on final reading and planning board attachments, item number 37, ordinance to approve the North Omaha Village Revitalization Plan for the City of Omaha. Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, yes. Yeah, we vote on those today.
Motion to approve. Second.
There we go.
No lights, roll call.
I'm trying to move this along here. Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President?
Yes.
They're all adopted 7-0. Now, ordinance to approve the North Omaha Village Revitalization Plan for the City of Omaha located generally Pratt Street on the north, Cummings Street on the south, 16th Street on the east, and 36th Street on the west. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 37 is today. Are there any proponents?
Good afternoon. Bridget Hadley, City Planning. I'll be real brief. As you have before you, the North Omaha Village Revitalization Plan is an effort of almost 2 years of planning and community engagement from the faith-based community to business owners, elected officials, residents, as well as major institutions and even city staff working to bring this effort to this point. The North Omaha Village Revitalization Plan supplements the Master Plan and the North Omaha Development Plan, which was approved in 2007. It does this by providing more specific guidance for land use, zoning, urban design, and policymaking decisions within this specific area. The North Omaha Development Plan actually sets the framework for focused investment, business investment in key areas. This North Omaha Village Revitalization Plan is an outgrowth of the North Omaha Development Plan, and actually zeroes in on 3 key strategic areas, being 24th and Lake, the 16th and Cumming area, and the Adams Park and the Malcolm X areas, to create a specific development concept that will have international, national, and as well local significance and create destination centers. So with that, I would ask your approval.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents?
Willie Barney, President of the Empowerment Network, 2221 North 24th Street. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you today on behalf of the North Omaha Village Zone Revitalization Plan. We believe that today is a new day for North Omaha and the city of Omaha as a whole. You'll hear from others that represent, as Bridget said, faith community, stakeholders, business owners, and others today about their support and involvement in this process. The Empowerment Network was asked by Nebraska Investment Finance Authority and Alliance Building Communities almost 2.5 years ago to facilitate a process where we would engage stakeholders and residents to build a bottom-up, top-down plan for North Omaha. We've invested 2 years of intense work engaging those different parties in this process, so we're very happy after coming through the planning board with a unanimous vote to be before you today. By all accounts, what you hear about Omaha is that this is a great city. We believe that it is a great city in many ways, a great place to do business, a great place to raise a family, but we strongly believe as well that this is not shared by every zip code in this city. It has been our goal and initiative that that greatness of Omaha would be expanded so more people in this community would benefit from that. The North Omaha Village Plan builds on the work of North Downtown. It builds on Destination Midtown. The Metro Community Plan, that's the Metro redevelopment plan as well. North Omaha is ripe. We have the elected officials working with us. We have the faith community working with us. With the investment of the business community and others in the philanthropic community, now is the time to make this happen. As Bridget mentioned, our vision is to reconnect the cultural history and legacy of North Omaha to a thriving, sustainable future. And the way that we look to do that is by establishing very strong, what the economic developers call business nodes. 24th and Lake as an arts, cultural, and entertainment district. You've already heard a lot of discussion about 24th and Lake historically, and how do we really build on that as an asset. 30th and Parker, where we now have 20-plus acres of open land with the OHA property and other land that's owned by the city and other ABC around that. We have an incredible opportunity to redevelop that into an urban village. At the Malcolm X Adams Park, it's been highlighted as one of the best opportunities to increase tourism, not only in the city, but also around the state, where it has the opportunity to be an international attraction. So we're looking for the investment and the support to expand not only Malcolm X, but marry that with the plans of the city at Adams Park. The other piece is that at 16th and Cumming, we've heard the last 3 weeks about the College World Series and all the developments there. We want to make sure that the 16th and Cumming area, 24th and Cumming area, is a front door and a gateway into North Omaha, not a back door. So we want to make sure when this plan identifies great opportunities to create that and build on the sports and recreation theme there at 16th and Cumming. So it's a part of our plan, and we've been working with people throughout the city to make sure that this is a consensus, a 30-year vision for the redevelopment of North Omaha. So we appreciate your support, and we are asking for unanimous votes so that we can move forward based on the planning department, the city council, the mayor's office, and many others that have been supportive of this plan from the beginning. And I am available for any questions that you may have. There are a number of people that are here that will speak, I believe, on behalf of this plan. And we're going to ask them, if they do come, to be as concise and brief as they can. But also, I think it's symbolic of the involvement and the engagement over the last 2 years to develop a plan from grassroots level, neighborhood associations to residents, again, the faith community and others, law enforcement. Everyone has been involved. Well over 500 people that have helped to develop this plan. So thank you for your time, and look forward to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Michael Maroney, 2221 North 24th Street, President of the Omaha Economic Development Corporation and President of the Alliance Building Communities, one of the two funders of this effort. First, let me say I'm a native Omaha, North Omahan, who never left, so I'm still here. 42 years ago next month, I started my first job working in North Omaha, and I've been there ever since. And the bulk of those 42 years, I've heard from the political side, from the corporate side, concerned about why North Omaha couldn't get its act together to speak with one voice. Well, this plan does that. As Willie mentioned, this has been a bottom-up process. Although the process has been the last 2 years, it's been in the making for decades. It has engaged the community. This is probably the most engaged process of involving the community and externally other factors, the city, the business community, the religious community, in all facets. It's a process that has been accepted by the community. It's a vision for the future of this community, and I would encourage you to vote in favor of adopting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents?
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Jackson Miller, and I'm the Executive Director of the North Omaha Neighborhood Alliance, 3223 North 45th Street. The Alliance represents the target zip codes of 68104, 68111, 68110, 68112, 68131, and 68132. And we are here in support of the North Omaha Village Plan. I, as well as several other people here today, have been involved in a number of plans and studies over the years for North Omaha. Bits and pieces were taken out of these plans and was implemented, but nothing in a comprehensive form that really made a big difference in North Omaha. And this plan is one that is truly done and was planned by the people and not for the people. And so there's a great buy-in from the community to see this implemented. So we would just urge you to vote your approval for this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? If there are a number of other proponents, if you wouldn't mind maybe lining up, and we might be able to move along a little bit quicker. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Pastor Selwyn Kubakis, pastor of Salem Baptist Church, 3131 Lake Street in North Omaha. I don't want to take a lot of time, simply to say ditto to what has been expressed. This is a program, a project that needs to be implemented. I think that the statement by the City Council with a unanimous vote would give an endorsement that would begin to bring these things to fruition. If the true promise of Omaha is going to come to pass, it has to come to pass in every region of the city. And I think that this is an effort that would make that come to pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. John Ewing, Douglas County Treasurer and Chair of the Empowerment Network Board of Directors, 1819 Farnham. I just want to encourage you to support this effort because, as it's already been stated, this is a bottom-up strategy that has been in the process for decades, certainly, but with the Empowerment Network for the last 5 years, working very closely with the citizens to see what they want in the North Omaha area. And I believe that's how government works best, when we listen to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other proponents?
I'm Reverend Kenneth Allen, pastor of Zion Baptist Church, 2215 Grant Street. It is the oldest Black Baptist, or second oldest Black Baptist congregation in the city. I also serve as president of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, and I am in support, and our group is in support of this plan. The only reservation we have is the possibility of the exercise of eminent domain on church properties. We do have some concerns about that because we've seen some of the plans, and some of the plans have properties or projected properties on currently occupied church properties. That's the only reservation that we have. However, we are in support of the program. We believe that this meets a need, and it's a need that has gone unmet for decades in North Omaha.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Bunting from the Nebraska Arts Council, 1004 Farnham Street, and I'm in full support of this plan. The idea to use the arts and economy, the arts and culture as an economic engine to further build Omaha, to build on the rich cultural history of Omaha, is one that's fully supported by the Nebraska Arts Council, and I look forward to this happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ella Willis. I'm with the Neighborhood Action and Facts Association, and I'm hoping that you all will support the village zone. And when you're finished with that village zone, our neighborhood is located from Worst Creek to Ames, from 24th to 26th. And then after you finish that village zone, I would like for y'all to come into the village zone of Neighborhood Action and Facts. And please support the village zone of Billy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ken Johnson, Economic Development Manager for the City of Omaha. I've been employed as the Economic Development Manager in some capacity for the last 27 some odd years. There have been a series of studies and programs and plans that have been brought forward, none that have really had the depth and analysis from the groundswell up. It is critical to the viability not only of North Omaha, but we are the immediate neighbor of the downtown core, which has seen over $3 billion of expansion. Without building around that core, it too will deteriorate. So it's critical to North Omaha, it's critical to the city of Omaha. So when we say North Omaha, we're really talking about another wing of our city that needs the boost that this will do. One comment was made about taking a church. There's nowhere in that plan that is contemplated that eminent domain will be used to take any church property. So with that, I would encourage you to support and vote for this revitalization plan. The planning department, through Jim Thiel, myself, Bridget Hadley, and Public Works have been totally involved in looking at this plan and what it means to the city. I encourage your support.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any other proponents?
Pastor Stan Roan, pastor of the Worship Center at 2021 North 24th Street. We've been in Omaha for 22 years, and we were one of the first churches to build a new facility on North 24th Street since I've been here. We are in total support of this project and believe it's time, well overdue, and we request that you would give 100% support to this project.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Brown, 2915 Grant Street, the home of Charles Drew Health Center. We've been there for 28 years. We're right in the middle of this zone that we're talking about here. We have already invested $4 million over the past 3 years to expand our facility. We serve 12,000 individuals a year, 45,000 visits a year, and we're looking forward to the development of this area to replace some of what was there before. We were placed in the middle of the housing complex because that's where the need was most, and it's gone now, but we're still there providing excellent quality healthcare services, and we look forward to the speedy process of this development taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Autumn Frazier. I'm with Ajasa Technologies. We are a new business to North Omaha. We are a African-American women-owned firm that is bringing jobs to North Omaha. We have strategically placed ourselves in North Omaha due to the fact that I've been coming here for a year. I've packed my bags. I live here now in Omaha in order to be a part of this strategic plan that I fully 100% would like to be a part of. And I would encourage you to please adopt the measure as well to be a part of the revitalization program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier, and welcome to Omaha. Any other proponents?
Kerry Newman, Northeast Precinct Captain. It probably goes without saying that I support the Omaha Economic Development Plan for the 24th Street corridor. I've had an opportunity to work with Mr. Willie Barney, the Empowerment Network, many of the faith leaders that are in attendance today, the community leaders and the neighborhood associations, and I fully support their plans and vision to bring jobs to North Omaha. So I fully support their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents?
I didn't move quickly enough, but I need to clarify a statement that I made earlier that may have been misinterpreted. I am a proponent. Absolutely. Yes. Again, Reverend Kenneth Allen, pastor of Zion Baptist Church, 2215 Grant Street, and our church is in the heart of the Arts and Entertainment District that has been proposed, and in the plans that we have seen, there are some properties, there are some buildings that are on property that are currently owned by our church. And that's just an example. That concern has been expressed in meetings with Mr. Barney and with representatives from the Omaha Economic Development Corporation. So while it may not be eminent domain, any property that's going to be used that's currently owned by our church has to go through certain channels. And I just want to make sure that it's on record that we are in support of the program. We are in support of the village zone concept and the redevelopment. We're in support of all of that. However, we do have a concern because of past history that property will be taken from the church, and we don't want that to happen.
Yes, sir. Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. As my colleague sitting to my left pointed out, my boss is in the house, so I'm going to have to support this no matter what. But I would support it anyway. Got other little bosses in the house as well. So, but you know, basically what I want to say is that this is historic legislation. This is an historic effort that has never, taken place to the extent that it has at this point in time. And my hat has to go off to all of the individuals who came up and spoke today, from the clergy to those in the Empowerment Network, my boss who's on the school district, Kerry Newman, our Northeast Precinct Captain, and all of the folks that have been intimately involved, because when we say that this has been a total community effort, the police have been involved in this. They've been at meetings, they've been scratching on various pieces of information to give their input and so forth. So this has been a total community effort. And I also have to take my hat off to Melinda Pearson, our Parks and Recreation Director, because Melinda as well is working with some really strong efforts that we're doing at Adams Park. So yeah, we've started that process with the community's total involvement in that. My hat is off to everyone here. This is an historic piece of legislation that will move North Omaha, I think, to the next level, and everybody deserves to be recognized in this. All of the folks, from those at the beginning of the community. Y'all looking at someone else? Who? Oh, Rick Cunningham. Oh yeah, we can't. Yeah, hey, we just beat Rick up this morning. We ought to give him some credit for something. Rick, thank you too as well for the involvement in this effort. This has been a total community effort. This is historic legislation, and I'm very proud of the effort that we all have made, and I'm very proud of what I'm hoping this council will do, and I move the approval of the legislation.
Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Mr. Cunningham was only involved in controversial things.
Yeah.
I was just going to reinforce some of Councilman Gray's comments. I was involved in the North Omaha Development Plan almost 5 years ago now, with many of the same faces that are here today, and I'm pleased to see them still involved and persevering, and including Terry Miller, who it's good to see again after a few years. And Terry and I have talked about this over many years, and if Terry's saying another plan is good, another plan is needed, then that's for sure. You can take that to the bank, because there's been a lot of discussion about plans and getting them on the table, but then actually doing them, and I think this is headed in the right direction as far as that goes. And Mr. Barney talked about business nodes, and some of the approach I've been taking in my district talks about neighborhood business districts, but it's the same idea, and I think that's the right focus in terms of moving forward. I've been talking a lot about Benson, Dundee, and Florence, which is nearby these areas. But certainly when you talk about 16th and Cumming, or 30th and Ames, and 24th and Lake, and the Malcolm X site, it's all the same concepts, and I think the right approach to help throughout the city, and especially North Omaha. So I certainly pledge my cooperation and assistance to get these things implemented and along their way, and even if that involves other tools we need to develop along the way in Lincoln or in Omaha, I'm certainly willing to do that. So I wholeheartedly second the motion.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. It's been said that this is a historic piece of legislation. I agree. And this is an area that I work in, the other hat that I wear at the university being in race and human relations. And also I'd like to say that the comment about all the zip codes in town may or may not be on board with this, it has a little bit of validity. But before I say that, I'd like to say that what we want to do is go by what the Omaha World Herald said in an editorial on the 7th of June. It said, all Omaha has a common interest in seeing North Omaha prosper. It goes on to say that implementing that vision will require perseverance, teamwork, and an effort from all sectors of Omaha. And at the end it says, in order for the city to win, North Omaha needs to win. So that's enough for me to vote for this, but I actually have a little bit more motivation in that even though I live in West Omaha and I work in West Omaha, my umbilical cord is connected to North Omaha. And that's because of, that's where I grew up. And I could tell many, many stories. I remember my sophomore year in Tech High School. We had been working with history books that were 15 years old, 15-year-old history books. And so we went to the castle, and we protested, and finally they said, it's time to get Tech High some new books. And so the day that the new books came in, the senior cabinet came and we opened the boxes and we noticed they weren't new, and we opened the flap and it said property of Burke High. Burke High got the new books, we got the used books from Burke. And ever since then, I knew that I was in a dogfight. In a dogfight because North Omaha has been a place that's been forgotten, it's been overlooked, and I knew that we're going to have to play a lot of catch up. Now, what this village zone concept does, it allows us to do some catching up. Now, there are people in my district, a minority of them, but they say, well, Franklin, you're giving too much support to North Omaha. I remember even in one election, one of my opponents said, let's get somebody in to represent West Omaha that represents our side of town. You want to be a fly following me around sometimes. But anyway, of course, when I hear those things, I have to correct them. I have to put them in place. Every now and then, I may hear even a statement such as they need to do more work in North Omaha. In fact, I have a data set. I just looked at a data set last night, and the data set said, if compared to government helping out poor parts of town or minorities doing more, 56 said that minorities need to do more work. So it's still prevalent, and this is not, Mr. Barney's statement was not just a flippant comment, although I will say it's not the majority of the citizens in West Omaha. But I want, as a West Omaha councilman, to come forth and say that I support this. One of the comments, however, that I sometimes get from my West Omaha constituents is that, Franklin, North Omaha doesn't support you. You support them, they don't support you. And so that's why I'm glad that the ministers are here today, because the ministers say take the high road. And I want the ministers to know I've been listening. Reverend Roan, I've been listening. Reverend Allen, I've been listening. And when it's easy to go against something simply because of payback, I want to listen to what the Lord says. I want to say, yes, Lord. And so today I vote for this because of the umbilical cord connection. I vote for it because of the experience that I've had. And I vote for it because I'm willing to take that high road and do the right thing. I'm willing to say, yes, Lord, we will take the high road. I like to say I am thankful for the bottom-up grassroots approach. This is not a history lesson, but the old Frederick Douglass black Republicans from the 1920s would be proud of that. Very proud of the bottom-up. We'll help ourselves, and we don't have to rely on somebody else to give us crumbs or a pacifier. So we're all in this together. And I believe this is one of the biggest moves for North Omaha. It is historic. It's more historic than you think it is. And I believe we can all work together and make this happen. And all the negative things that we've endured, all of that stuff that we had to go through, like being pushed around, I believe that one day, yes, like Martin Luther King said, we will overcome. Thank you.
Mr. Gray.
Yeah, just one other thing I better do very quickly, Mr. President, is while I neglected and almost forgot, well, I did forget until all my bosses reminded me about Mr. Rick Cunningham. We ought to thank Rick Cunningham's boss as well. The mayor has been intimately involved in this effort. He too has been scratching on papers and so forth, coming up with solutions and ideas to help develop North Omaha. So I want to take the opportunity to thank him as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Freddie, you don't need a moment for rebuttal to Ben here, do you? I don't want to. A lot's been said here, and a lot of good things have been said. I just want to reiterate that it's not only is it great to see the support of the local community, but also the participation, where those that live in the community were able to participate into what the outcome is going to be. So no further lights, and I believe we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Stothard?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's adopted on a 7-0 vote. Resolution, item number 38, resolution, the attached Livestock Commons LLC tax increment financing project plan contemplating the construction of 2 new 4-story mixed-use buildings located at 4910 South 30th Street. Is hereby approved. We have communication from World Community Health requesting a 2-week layover and a continuation of the public hearing.
Move to lay over 2 weeks till July 26th and continue the public hearing.
We need to ask if anybody's here that wishes to testify that can't testify in 2 weeks. Okay.
Okay. Public hearing is closed for today. No lights. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray? Jerem? Stothard? Thompson? Festerson? Mr. President?
Yes.
It's laid over 2 weeks. Continuing public hearing 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, agenda item 39 should be laid over 4 weeks to August 9th for publication of public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing agenda item 40 shall be held on third reading. Ordinances on second reading. Planning Board attachments. We have annexation ordinances items 41 through 49. I'll read them all up together. We'll take one public hearing, and if anybody's testifying, they need to, on a specific SID, then you should need to identify that SID. Item 41 is ordinance to extend the limits of the city over certain lands in Douglas County and incorporate the same into to make them part of the city. It's Glenbrook, SID 250. Item 42 is LeBreau West, SID 288. 43 is Pacific Hollows, SID 322. 44 is Oak Brook Meadows and Oak Brook Meadows 2, SID 327 and 359. 45 is Pacific Meadows, second edition, SID 347. 46 is Autumn Ridge, SID 354. 47 is Hawthorne, SID 393. 48 is Bayon Hills, SID 388. And 49 is Winewood, first edition, SID 362A. Is Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items number 41 through 49 begins now. Are there any proponents?
Mr. President, members of the Council, Gary Hall from the City Planning Department. I'm here to ask for your approval of the 2011 annexation package. Proposed annexation includes 9 neighborhoods that include 7,092 residents, 921 acres of land, and almost $480 million of property and real estate value. In terms of land use, one SID contains 31 acres of office and commercial development. All the remaining land uses are low-density residential and civic. Overall, the package is fiscally balanced over the next 10 years and is consistent with city annexation policies and state annexation laws. The planned effective date for the annexation is August 22nd. And these are the basics about the annexation. If you have questions, several members of the annexation team are here to help me answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Mr. President, members of the City Council, my name is Bob Huck, 1200 Omaha Tower, 72nd and Mercy Road. As was discussed in the earlier meeting, I represent SID 250, which is Glenbrook, which I think is item 41 on the agenda, and I am standing here as a proponent. The SID has been around for quite a while, as you can probably guess by the number. It's done a lot of good things out there, and they also have a very, very strong neighborhood association that's been taking care of the SID parks. I think there's 3 or 4 lots there, as well as the SID has been taking care of snow removal. We visited with Public Works regarding snow removal and with Parks regarding taking care of the parks out there by the Glenbrook Homes Association. I don't think there's any dispute that that is a good thing from the city's standpoint and from the department standpoint, as well as the SID standpoint and the residents. As I mentioned earlier, the The status of that situation is general agreement, but we have no written documents yet with the City of Omaha, which will be necessary in order to bless, you might say, excuse me, this association for taking care of those items, as well as what involvement the City of Omaha will play in terms of financial help in terms of paying what they would have expended to do these kind of things that we're talking about. And in that regard, I visited with Gary Hall and with Warren about a layover. On Friday, we were talking about August 9th. We will proceed to do this as quickly as possible, but it's going to take a little while to put these documents together. And we thought that it just made sense that they would accompany the ordinance itself, which will annex this area. This morning the question was asked, what about a week from next Tuesday, which I think would be the 26th, maybe? And you know, we'll work as hard as we can to get that done. I'm working with both departments in an effort to get similar agreements the city has had with other associations, and we'll continue to work hard to do that. We're certainly not asking for a layover of the public hearing. If the layover would occur next week, you know, with the actual annexation ordinance itself, and I'll keep Warren appraised of where we are in that process, so that maybe it can happen quicker than I think maybe is possible. But we will certainly work as hard as we can, and you'll have some new citizens of the City of Omaha, which take very good care of their neighborhood. Glenbrook, and I encourage you all really to go out and look at those parks. They're very, very nice. Thank you. Any questions? I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Stother?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all the hard work you've done on this. Many of these areas, at least 3 here, are in my district, will fall in my district once they're annexed. And I just wanted to say publicly, you know, I don't need to ask you a question, but publicly to the folks and the new citizens that will be in these areas, that a lot of them have questions and want to know how this is going to work and have questions about their city services, and just wanted to extend the invitation publicly that if in any of these housing areas, if the homeowners associations want me or any other council member, I'm sure to come out with any member of the city to go over and to answer things with them and to answer their questions. We certainly will be more than happy to do that. And so right now I think that this is a good plan, and hopefully that we will see another plan for more annexations coming up soon too. Thank you.
Mr. Festerson?
Thanks, Mr. President. I just comment on Glenbrook as well. That would be in my district if approved, and certainly supportive of what Mr. Huck's trying to do with the SID there in cooperation with the city. We've seen that work well in other areas where neighbors agreed to actually provide a higher service than the city might typically provide in cooperation with the city. So I'm certainly of the opinion it's good to be patient until we get that worked out, and hopefully at the same time as the rest of the package. But if it takes an extra week, I think it takes an extra week or two, and that's probably fine. And overall, of course, supportive of the package. I think that to the same notion Council Member Stoddard was just discussing, maybe a couple questions for Ms. Spaccaratello, just for the folks that are watching. When we do this, we assume as many areas as we can that it's a break-even proposition financially for the city, so we can continue to grow. And that's the case with this package as well, wouldn't you say?
Pam Spaccaratello, Finance Director. Yes, that's correct.
And so if approved, we've already taken into accommodation additional police, additional services that are needed within this package, and that would be included in the 2012 budget we'll get shortly.
That is correct.
And I believe it's the case with this package that over 10 years, it's a positive to the city financially.
Yes, that's correct.
Thanks. I also commend the administration for taking the initiative to pursue this package, and after some pretty disappointing census numbers, it will be nice to welcome 7,000 new residents to the city.
Amen. No further lines.
Ordinance on second reading, item number 50, ordinance to approve and authorize a contract with the Metro Technical Community College area for training for the fire department. We have a communications from fire department requesting a 2-week layover to July 26th and continuing the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
No further lights. Roll call.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Stothard.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 51 is ordinance to accept the bid of Aramark Uniform Services to provide linen towels for the Omaha Fire Department.
Public hearing on agenda item number 51 begins now. Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearings on items 52 through 57 shall be held on third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing agenda items number 58 through 69 shall be held on the second reading. Item number 70 is an ordinance to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Professional Firefighters Association of Omaha, Local 385. We need a motion to set the second reading and third reading and public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to...
Substitute motion to set the second reading and public hearing on July 9th.
Second.
You mean
I mean August. We're not going backwards, are we? For August 9th, and therefore the third reading would be on August 16th then.
Right.
We've got a motion and a second.
Yes, we do.
No lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
I really had my lights still on.
Oh, go right ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment or two. Originally, my intention was today to make this same motion for the public hearing to be on the 9th and the third reading on the 16th to give the fire union a chance, a good 4 weeks, to vote. They did have a vote scheduled a couple weeks ago and it was canceled for some reason or another. But the reason I was going to do that is, number one, and most importantly, it is the law. The law does state that the council will consider the ordinance to approve a contract with a bargaining unit after the bargaining unit has approved the labor agreement, but also to maintain the integrity of the process. When the police contract came to us, the personnel board and then the police union did vote before it came to second reading and public hearing and third reading and the public vote by the city council. And all contracts that come to city council, we usually have an agreement of both sides before it comes to the council, and the council has the final say of approving the contract. What's missing with this the way it is until the union votes is that we only have the mayor's proposal now. We don't know if the members of the union have supported it or not. We did find out last evening that the union has scheduled to vote on the 1st and 2nd of August, which is a good thing, but it still puts that vote, it would be before, or that would be after the public hearing. And I do think, again, to maintain the integrity of the process, we need to treat this just like we did the police vote. And it would be very beneficial for the union to vote before we have the second reading in the public hearing. So by delaying, even though the vote now is scheduled by the union, to delay this 1 week with the public hearing on the 9th and the third reading on the 16th, it then would give the citizens that want to come here and talk about this contract and during the public hearing, it would then, they would know if the union has approved it or rejected it. So again, it's the main reason now is to maintain the integrity, to treat it just like we did the police, and then we will have the union vote and know which way the union members feel before we have the public hearing, so that the taxpayers in the community have a right to know that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. No further lights. Roll call.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Stothard?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
It's set 7-0. Item number 73, resolution that the City of Omaha officially designates the Omaha Triathlon as a special event under LB 589 on July 24th, 2011, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 12 a.m. for a part of the bicycle portion of the Omaha Triathlon.
Public hearing on agenda item number 73 begins now. Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents?
Motion to approve, second.
No lights, roll call.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Stothard. Thompson. Festerson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Adopted 7-0.
Motion to adjourn, second.
Roll call.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Stothard. Thompson. Festerson. Mr. President.
Yes. Thank you.